Hi everyone, welcome to this yet another AWS video. In this video, we'll be learning about AWS Simple Storage Service, which is the S3 service. We'll see how we can use Simple Storage Service to store our data. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here we are. AWS Simple Storage Service S3. What is it? It is an object storage service, okay, which offers highly scalable, highly available, and highly secure and high performing storage service. Okay, so it is a storage service in which you can store your data. Okay, data can be of any type. Okay, unstructured data, like you can store movies, you can store pictures, you can store text files, you can store your programs. Okay, whatever you want, you can store in the S3 bucket. Okay, it's called we'll know what is a bucket, but currently we say that it is stored in S3. Okay, this is what S3 looks like. Okay, in S3, okay, we create something called bucket. Okay, bucket is like a folder. Okay, it's just like a folder where we put our objects. Okay, objects can be, okay, anything like video, pictures, it can be text files or PDF files, any kind of files. Okay, so we drop it into the bucket. Inside the bucket we can create folders also. Okay, now what happens is this S3 bucket, okay, it is accessible via the internet, and do keep in mind that it is globally accessible. Okay, so what happens is anybody makes a request to the objects in the S3 bucket and you get it retrieved. Okay, now within the AWS, okay, EC2 instances or any other, say, objects or services that require access to S3 bucket also goes via the public internet to get the information, to get the objects. Now that may be a little bit time consuming, a little bit not a good idea. So there is another thing that is called S3 Gateway Endpoint. Okay, what this allows is direct access to the S3, Amazon S3, from the services within the AWS. Okay, so you can create a S3 gateway and privately it can connect to the S3 bucket. Okay, Amazon S3, so it will not have to go by the internet. If you don't have your S3 gateway, then it goes by the internet, public internet, through the internet gateway. Okay, and then to the S3, and then it comes back. Okay, now in the, how do you access the S3 bucket? Okay, so we access the S3 bucket by using URL. Okay, S3, when you every object inside the S3, okay, S3 bucket will have a URL. So we'll be accessing the object, okay, via the URL. We'll see that. Okay, so the S3 bucket, the object in the S3 bucket, okay, the objects, okay, what we do, we create a Amazon S3 bucket and we put objects into it. Okay, and the object has a key, it has a version ID. We'll be learning about version in another video, not in this video. It will have a value. Okay, what is the data? Okay, and you can put metadata. It will have metadata information, sub resources, and access control information, whether it's accessible to the public or not, or whether it's accessible to some resources or not. That is done through access control information. Okay, so this is what S3 bucket, how S3 bucket works and what is it used for. We use it for storing data. We'll see the use case in the next slide. Okay, see in the S3 bucket, okay, see you see the picture like a bucket. Okay, so in the S3 bucket, what happens is, what we do is we put different kind of information like your analytical data, log files, application data, videos and pictures, I already said, and backup and archival data. Okay, so the backup data may be very used and may be very expensive to keep in our on-premise storage, so we can keep it in the S3 bucket. Okay, so move data, okay, move our data to the Amazon S3 from anywhere it lives. Okay, I already said the bucket is global, okay, in the cloud, in applications, or on premises. Now see here, you can see these different objects. Okay, so it means it is unstructured, you don't have any structure. Now in S3, the objects, the data is stored as objects. That's why it is called object storage. Now, another we have is block storage. Block storage is like your EBS, okay, where the information is stored in chunks of blocks. That is called block storage. Okay, so now in the bucket we store data. Okay, what we do, we create a bucket. Okay, specify the region. We'll see this. Okay, access controls and management options, and upload any data, any amount of data. And this is, you don't have to specify the size. Okay, you can put as much data as you want. Okay, now for the S3 bucket we need control access to the data. Okay, with the, that means it is secure. With the S3 bucket we can optimize cost with different storage classes. We'll be learning about different storage classes in the next video. We can replicate data to any region. Okay, access from any premise or VPC, on premise or VPC, and it protects and secures our data. Okay, and we can have visibility into our storage. Okay, so what are they used for? Okay, we can use this for storing the data and then analyzing them. Okay, we can use AWS and third-party services to analyze the data inside our S3 bucket. Okay, that is by using artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, and machine learning. So we can analyze the data we have in our S3 bucket. In the later videos, I'll be showing on how we can do all those, how we can put log files into our S3 bucket and query them from our S3 bucket. Okay. Now key takeaways today: block storage, I already said, the data is stored in chunks of similar blocks. Okay, like 4 KB or 8 KB. Object storage has no any structure. Okay, you can put any kind of data into this storage, which is our S3 bucket. Okay, S3 bucket, I already told, whatever we create in AWS S3 is a bucket, and inside the bucket we put our objects. Okay, now every object in the bucket, okay, can have a versioning. Okay, versioning means if you have a text file called a.txt and you modify that particular file and you upload it again, okay, then it will have a new version. Okay, that means if your old version is required, you can obtain it from the AWS S3 bucket. Okay, so if you enable versioning, that means every object in the S3 bucket will have a versioning on every change. Then we'll know about what is ARN, Amazon Resource Name. Okay, every bucket and every object, they have an ARN. Okay, so we'll be seeing that in our lab. Okay, so let's go to our lab. Okay, so here we are in the AWS console. So let me go to the S3 bucket, S3, not S3 bucket, S3 service. So these are different things. Okay, but today we'll be learning about buckets. So in S3, what do? We create a bucket. Okay, so once we create the bucket, then we put our object inside the bucket. Now let's see one thing here. Do note here, okay, you will see your region is global. Okay, you cannot select any other region, which means that any bucket you create, okay, is global. Okay, and it needs to be unique globally. Okay, so you cannot have a name that is already chosen by another organization. Okay, so you need to have a unique bucket name. Okay, so let's go to buckets. Okay, let's say create a bucket. Here we just say create a bucket. So let's give a name. Okay, now here, even though it's global, okay, but you can choose in which region you want the data to be kept. Okay, so I will choose Mumbai because it's closest to my users. Okay, then I can choose to copy the settings from another bucket that is already available, but I will not do that now. For ownership, okay, ACL's disabled, which is the recommended one. What it means is all objects in this bucket are owned by this account only. That means by this Cogbook account, or not Cogbook account, by SSG management. Okay. Now ACL's enabled. Okay. Objects in this bucket can be owned by other AWS accounts also. Okay. So we'll not be choosing that for now. We'll just use simple ACL's disabled. Then we'll just, here is bucket versioning is a means of keeping multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. Okay, you can use versioning to preserve, retrieve and restore every version of every object stored in your Amazon S3 bucket, which I already mentioned in the presentation. Okay, so you see, with versioning you can easily recover both unintended user actions and application failures. Okay, so currently we'll put it at disabled. We'll look into it by enabling in the next video. You can give tags. You already know what are tags. Okay, server side encryption. Okay, you can give encryption to secure your data. So currently I will disable the server side encryption. In advanced, okay, you can lock your object, which means if you enable it, okay, permanently allows objects in this bucket to be locked. Okay, that means you can write once, after that the object cannot be read or deleted or modified. Okay, cannot be modified or deleted or overwritten. Okay, so we'll just disable it and then we'll just say create bucket. Okay, so our bucket was unique. It has been created here. Okay, now in this bucket, okay, I'm just going to go inside this bucket. Okay, and I'm just, let's go to the properties and see. Okay, in the properties you can see versioning is not enabled. Okay, tags are there. See that whatever we configure is there. Okay, permissions. Okay, this is very important. Okay, the permission is block all public accesses. So all the public accesses are blocked. Okay, now we'll enable later on. Now let's block all accesses. Okay, now let's go and upload some objects. Okay, I have some objects, so I'll just say add files. Okay, I can choose the files I want to add. Okay, and I can say, just say open, and it will upload the files. Okay, now each and every of these objects, okay, I'll just say upload first. Okay, this is the bucket URI. Okay, we'll be learning about this, okay, when we do the command line. For now, AWS CLI, for now just know that this is a URI, and now every object, okay, they have some information, that is, okay, they have their URL. Okay, this is their URL. Okay, and this is the URI I already told you. Now this URL, okay, is the one that we use for accessing globally. Okay, now let's try. Okay, see, access denied. Okay, that is where we need to go and change our bucket permission. Okay, so let's go and change our bucket permission. Buckets. Okay, so this is our bucket. Okay, so permissions. Okay, so we'll just say edit here. Okay, so will allow everything. Okay, for now access. Okay, we just say confirm. It is warning us. Okay, we'll just say confirm. Okay, and then now let's try to access it. Okay, so let's see our bucket first. In our bucket, okay, we have the properties. In the properties, there are some properties like intelligent tier archive configurations. You can use this to migrate the information from one tier to another tier, or from one class to another class, so that there is cost saving. Okay, and here we have object log. We already say here we have another requester page. What it means is, if any requester wants to download the data, they will be billed for it. Okay, and static web hosting. If you have a static website, you can host using the S3 bucket. We'll be doing this in the later video. Okay, now let's get into permissions. Okay, okay, here object ownership. Okay, let's do ACLs enabled. Okay, bucket owner preferred. Okay, so we'll just say the ownership, object ownership. Okay, bucket owner preferred, then we'll just say save changes. Okay, now if we go to our objects, okay, and go to our JPG object and see the permissions, okay, we'll see that it is still not accessible. Okay, so we'll just say okay, let's go to the properties and try to access it. Okay, so it still does not have the permission. So let's go to the permission. Okay, edit. Okay, so we provide permission to everyone, read access. Okay, so just say save changes. Okay, oh, I understand. So save changes. Now we try to access it. We should be able to access it. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so we need to go to the objects and then change the properties. Okay, so you can just say permissions, edit, read for public, I acknowledge. Okay, I understand. This is changes. Okay, and you can access it. Okay, so you can just give this URL to anybody who wants to access this particular object. Okay, this URL. Okay, so it can be used in anywhere. Okay, from anywhere to access this particular object inside our bucket. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so in the next video we'll be seeing on versioning and different tiers of S3. Okay, S3 bucket, different classes of S3 bucket.